Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and this is the American Headhunter podcast. It's a time where I spend about 15 minutes speaking with you or talking with you as a Google Hangout about some element of being a professional recruiter. Recruiting is an incredibly difficult job. See, for most people who are in sales, and I'll use people who sell automobiles as an example. For most people who are in sales, once you have the customer in the door, you don't have to persuade your firm to sell the car to them. All you have to do is persuade the customer to buy your type of car. In recruiting, we have to sell two sides. We have the requirement of talking to an organization and talking to an individual and trying to make a marriage. I know that exists in other professions. After all, if someone's trying to buy life insurance and the profoundly obese person contacts them, hi, I'm 58 years old and I weigh 427 pounds. Well, your insurance firm may try and sell a policy, but the premium's going to be ridiculous, and that 425-pound person isn't going to buy it. But at the end of the day, recruiters, search professionals, agents, however you want to describe us, are in the position of having to sell both sides in order to mesh the two together. And I did a gesture for the video folks so they could see that meshing together. Now, today's show is brought to you by Audible. And if you go to audibletrial.com/the Big Game Hunter and sign up for a free trial, you'll be able to get a free audiobook as part of that trial. They've got over 150,000 titles. You can pick out things that relate to your work professionally. You can just take a break with an audiobook and listen to it on your commute. I know you like audio. You listen to this podcast and my others. So again, that's audibletrial.com/the Big Game Hunter. And my other sponsor is consultingassignments.com, which is a site where you can find and fill consulting assignments. What a surprise. Full-time consulting positions, temp to perm, and contract to hire opportunities anywhere in the world, completely free. Posting a job or a resume is free. Searching jobs and resumes is free. The ability to contact one another is free. The only thing the site charges for is if you're going to feature more than one position. It's a whopping $10 for 30 days. And when all is said and done, if you're going to feature more than one position over the course of a year, they have programs that take the cost down from there. So again, consultingassignments.com. Now, this show is about planning your day. Now, when I was getting into recruiting back in the Stone Ages, no one planned their day. So I come in with an intrinsic bias against doing that. And I want to acknowledge that because to this day, planning is a hard activity for me to engage in. I know there are a lot of recruiter trainers that want your day to be very structured. They'll say, block out time to chunk. Matter of fact, sales trainers do this all the time. Block out time to chunk your phone calls of a certain type. Block out time to do this task or that task. I don't know about you. I don't really find that's worthwhile for me. Instead, I focus on doing a couple of things. Now, I need to backtrack a little bit because I think planning your day is secondary to goal setting. And goal setting is determining what your objectives are for a year, for a quarter, for a month. Now, your owner will focus in on dollar revenue because, of course, unless you produce, they're going to fire you. That's the reality to it. But at the end of the day, if you have no clients and you don't have any interviews because all the time you're doing planning, that doesn't work either. So when all is said and done, you have to produce. You have to do stuff that makes sense to generate revenue, because if you're not making revenue, not only are you out of a job, but you're going to go broke real fast. So what I want you to do is think about what your goals are for the year. Are you trying to do X number of dollars of revenue? Is that realistic? What steps do you have to take in order to generate that kind of revenue? How many interviews, how many new clients, how many interviews per day or interviews per week do you need to generate to produce those kind of numbers? When all is said and done, it's all about the numbers. It's all about the outcomes. So it's all about what your goals are. Now, in order to do this, we then go into planning your day, which, again, I struggle with. What I tend to do is I have an idea in my mind about what I need to accomplish in a given day. It's a mental plan. Now, I'm also aware that uh, a bright, shiny object may materialize that's going to distract me. And you know what? A lot of those times, those distractions are very worthwhile. So, for example, the firm that suddenly contacts me, or I hear about an opportunity that I should act on, well, that's a bright, shiny object that makes sense for me to attack. So I take a look at my email as soon as I get into my office. Notice it's 7:30 in the morning as I'm doing this podcast and this Google Hangout. So I've been in my office probably for about 20 minutes already, taking a quick look at email from the weekend. And I know I've got a stack there that's ridiculous. So I know I have to spend time addressing that because these are people who self-identified themselves as being qualified for roles. And I know a lot of it's going to be spam, but there's always that prince in there that I have to find, that pearl that is appropriate for me to contact. So I've got to spend time kissing frogs and princesses in the morning as soon as I walk in. I'm not going to go into all of them because the reality is more are going to be coming in. But I do want to start addressing my email first thing. I also want to get back in touch with people I need to follow up with. So someone interviewed on Friday. They had a second interview. I'm not going to call the hiring manager first thing in the morning. I may wait till mid-morning, their time zone. So I'm on the East Coast, their central time zone. I want to call them probably 10:30 their time, so they've had a chance to get into the office, do their morning routine, get settled in. I'm not sure when you're going to be watching this, but this is being recorded the day after the clock shift. So I know a lot of folks are going to be off on their energy this morning. I don't want to hit them up first thing. I want to give them a chance to get their caffeine loaded into their system before I start hitting them. So I'm following up on situations from the previous week that have carried over. I'm figuring out who do I need to do business development with? Am I doing a direct mail piece today? Am I doing a broadcast email to organizations looking for business? What am I doing in the way of client development today? Because a day without client development means one day closer to getting that phone call from your main client that says, we've decided to take recruiting in-house. As has happened to me at different times in my career, but I've had backups in place so that when that one client disappeared, as happened a couple of years ago when a large client of mine with whom I did several $100,000 in income per year decided to take recruiting in-house, well, I was prepared with backups and wasn't just simply stranded with no revenue because I didn't have a client to work with. So when all is said and done, I'm always doing business development. I'm always reviewing resumes. I'm always on LinkedIn searching. I'm always doing things to find talent for my clients. Now, when I'm on LinkedIn, that's when I'm chunking my time. I don't really want to respond to emails unless something goes by. And I do have a pop-up that lets me know when emails are coming in. I'm not responding to resumes during that time, but I am responding to clients that are messaging me, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are paying our bills, right? They pay you in order to keep your lights on and gas in the Volkswagen, as an old owner I knew used to say. So you have to respond to them pretty quickly, or else they start contacting other people. So anyone contacts me about a job or a follow-up on an interview or scheduling, I'm all over that, even though it may be a time that I'm doing recruiting. And in terms of recruiting, am I sending out emails? Am I only sending out emails? No, I'm doing cold calling. I'm calling people up who I may not have had contact with in a while. I'm calling people whose profiles on LinkedIn look interesting for roles with clients of mine. I tend to start doing that late morning. So I have a couple of hours of that time before I get to the close of my day, where again, I'm following up on things that need follow up. I tend to call clients twice a day if I haven't heard from them. So I'm not just simply going to call at 10:30 this morning. If I haven't heard from them, I'm going to call at 3:30, 4 o'clock as well for a second opportunity to reach out to them. That signals that I'm not going away so fast and I do need to talk with them. So I'm spending time doing promotion. I'm spending time doing development. I'm spending time doing follow-up. And I know from an applicant standpoint, I never do enough contacting. I never do enough promotion. There are always candidates who question whether or not I'm doing enough for them. So one of the ways that I follow up with people is by email. I see a resume that looks like a fit. If it's a marginal fit, I'm sending them an email. And I have a series of standard questions that I send out to them in templated form as a signature file to follow up with. So these are a couple of my thoughts. Do you find this interesting? Do you find this helpful? Send me an email at jeffaltman@thebiggamehunter.us. In the subject line, put the American Headhunter podcast in the subject. Tell me if you found this show interesting or previous ones interesting, what topics you want me to cover. I want to make sure I share to you, my audience, rather than just things that come in off the cuff. So I'm Jeff Altman. Quick show today. I've got a lot to do. Another podcast, actually another 2 podcasts to record today. So I'm heading off to my day. I've got plenty to do. Take care.